Hey man, thanks for watching this video. So this is the second weekly updates that I'm gonna share with you. What has happened last week, and then what's coming this week. So first thing first, before I go on with the presentation, the demo, just letting you know that I've done some code migration and schema revamp because remember that we were doing database schema, the optimization the other week. And then I noticed that all the additional RLS and the multi-tiered roles that we're adding within the database schema, it is also going to add a significant amount of code changes that needed to happen in the code base. And so because 90% of the code relies on the older schema, which didn't even have the multi-tiered role-based access functionality, it also relies on the legacy RLS. So this is why there's a lot of major conflicts is going on when I'm trying to make sure that it works in tandem. So even with Cursor's help, I think by now one of the weakness of using these AI builders, AI agents, is that sometimes it struggles to work on a global wide or a directory wide, like the whole code base wide fixing, debugging. So it is always better to pinpoint these AI builders to only one thing at a time. So if I were to go with that rate, I do foresee, because this means I will also need to manually intervene as well, because there were certain things that Cursor is doing wasn't like 100% correct, which still requires a human dev to review it. And so if we will going this rate, I foresee it like a delay by a week or two in terms of the project delivery and the timeline. And I didn't want that to happen. So one thing that I did was no choice. I had to seek Raptors agent on top of the Cursor agent. So we're using two agents, to speed things up. There are certain things that I appreciate from Replit. There are also certain things that I appreciate from Cursor. So right now we're moving forward. We might have a hybrid Cursor Replit implementation. Whether or not this is going to be continuous after 4 or 5 weeks after we've done the MVP, that is still another story to discuss in a later time. But for now, we'll be using this hybrid implementation for the rest of the course of the MVP. Okay, so. Account authentication and email validation. This is the first thing that I was focusing on because of the revamp, the code revamp, making sure that the new a new code base can be in tandem with the new database schema that we just did. So to make sure that that happens, I had to also introduce a couple of infrastructure changes, aside from us using, mainly Superbase before. So one thing that I was using newly for this one is I'm using Express backend with PostgreSQL database. The PostgreSQL database is running on a serverless Neon base with a Drizzle ORM, one of the best in the market. And so in terms of speed and performance, and so it's not just a typical PostgreSQL database. It is coupled with a serverless PostgreSQL database, which is a 10x faster. It has a faster read rate, and also in terms of processing rate, and couple that with the Drizzle ORM as well, which is helping us with, ensuring that that everything that we're doing is according to the best practice. Created session management with local storage. So previously we were using Superbase to handle our sessions for us, to store the sessions, generate session IDs, store it, persist it, stuff like that. Now I'm using local storage coupled with the custom token, JWT token-based authentication, which is also something that I'm also using for the sign-in and sign-up functionality. email verification system with SendGrid. So I've moved away from super-based emails to SendGrid to power our verification emails and possibly our transaction emails as well. Mainly for a few reasons. One is the custom branded emails, the domains, the sender URLs and stuff like that, where I have full control. SendGrid allows us to have, you know, the whole white label branding of our own domain on all the emails, which is super, which is a useful feature for us. On top of that, it also supports it gives us full control to to give us the deliverability, the best deliverability rate, the inbox deliverability rate, because sometimes if, let's say, for example, people were to mark super-based emails as spam, we're not going to be able to control the reputation and it will always go to spam moving forward. But for SendGrid, it allows us to control our reputation, switch our IPs, email IPs, switch our DNS, the domains that we're using. We can even use subdomains and stuff like that. SendGrid allows us to gives us that flexibility. On top of that, it has these features like sender verification. It has domain verification. It has DKIM, SPF, DMARC verification, which gives us total control of whether our email is going to be in inbox, whether are we being a reputable, trusted sender by all the major inbox like Google, Hotmail, stuff like that, right? Super important. Now, before I move on with the next one, so let me just go through what's going on here. So I'm just gonna put a 2. So I've done a lot of testing here. That's why the naming is like that. Okay, so now I'm just gonna create an account and it's gonna send a verification email to SendGrid. You can see here. Again, the UI is terrible. Please forgive me. It should be it should be better in the next feature sprint. It's because I did so much of revamps of the components and stuff like that. Make sure that I was really, really focusing on feature first, design later. So basically, this is the latest one. You can see this just happened. Now you can see now one of the bugs that I encountered with the previous build was this host name not being the same as the origin. So remember, like when we, pretty sure you've used Vercel before or Netlify or whichever that we use, right? Or even Docker, like they have these branches, which contains different IDs, different ways to recognize each branch. And so these branches are dynamic and it has to be properly handled. Before this, it doesn't recognize all those things. So whenever we change branches, or even if we change our host name, like let's say we decide to migrate to a different place, like maybe not DigitalOcean or we just shift the domain, right? So what's going to happen is that the previous one was hard coding the old value and it doesn't change. And that makes it really vulnerable to mistakes and to errors because these things might change dynamically. And then, so what I'm doing is I'm making sure that this value will always follow and persist towards the email so that you'll see a similar value here as well as the host name. So that means if we were to migrate to a production URL, so this value will automatically dynamically change as well without us having to hard code things, so it makes the code that is killable in the long run, and less susceptible to errors, okay, less prone to errors. So this was one of the major bugs that I've managed to resolve. So it will always follow, okay. And it's important that it matches, then the verification will then work successfully or else it will fail. So So while waiting for it to, so it's still loading. So let's just wait. So what's going to happen is you're going to see some green color. Again, the UI is pretty bad right now. So basically the green color, there is like something, some text saying the email has been verified. So this is pretty much covering what I've done, the first one, okay? The second thing that I've done is the role-based access control system, where you'll have these onboarding steps that you'll need to complete, where you'll need to create an organization. You know, after you create an organization, you can then do a lot more stuff like adding you know, team members with different roles, whether it's admin, manager, employee. I don't have the table right now. I forgot to add it to my slide, but there is a table that consists of what are the specific capabilities for each role. What can they do? Like what admin can do? I mean, admin can definitely do everything, and a manager can do certain things. Are still limited by, you know, restricted to do a few things. Employee definitely restrictive, only to view the links and to make orders. So basically, this is definitely super important because we want to make sure that you know, everything, you know, like every role has like its parent, you know, to control them, like the parent. So they're always under one parent umbrella, which is the organization. Then followed by the admin, followed by manager, and then employees. So that means admin will control a few managers, and then each manager will control a few employees. So the employees will always stay within the relationship of like parent-child relationship. So this is what I meant by creating role assignment system for these organizational relationships and making sure that there is also department level. I forgot to add. So in the organization, there is also department. So the organization, there is a leader, which is the owner, which is the admin, followed by departments where there's managers for each department, and an employee under each department as well, which is super important. So I'm going to go ahead and do this and create an organization. Okay, create organization. Okay, you can see, so the second thing that you can do is something that I covered here, where I added the wallet creation for organization during setup. So wallet creation is where for the time being, it is only a dummy top up. In the future, once I complete the Stripe integration, clicking top up wallet will then brings the admin to the Stripe checkout in order to perform the top up. Okay, so and then redirected back to this onboarding step. Okay, so top up wallet, boom, and then the third is the most important part. This is the role-based access thing that I was talking to you about. This role-based access control system. So basically, in an organization, there is a department where you can create the department. So for example, if you want to take department marketing, right? And so for marketing, you might have somebody by the name of Larry Doe. And so Larry is the manager of for that marketing department, right? So add team member, and you can see this is me. So I'm always the admin, as mentioned, right? And here you have Larry Doe, which is the manager for marketing department, okay, which is a team member, and we can always switch the roles, whether is it manager or employee, maybe different department for Larry, right? So very important. So by this being completed, then for the rest of what's going to happen for the rest of the weeks this week is that now I'm going to move on and making sure that these team management is reflecting against all the other features like, validating catalog link generation, uploaded images are used in automation workflows, catalog access logic. Again, the access logic will have to rely on the team management access and the role base that we've created. Verify trigger to catalog association, fulfillable links, test fulfillment dashboard integration, and then this is where I'm also going to try and touch the backend endpoint for Stripe checkout, simulate wallet balance logic in database layer, and update account balance manually post checkout success. So this is pretty much what's going to happen this week after I'm done. So yeah, so that's pretty much what I've done so far. Hope that covers, and stay tuned for my next what I call video, right? Okay, take care.